Hey there, YouTube. Ghost Jake here with you today. I am back tonight, like I said, after I just watched The Exorcist. After I just watched The Exorcist season 2, episode 6 on Hulu. And to start off, guys, on some of my initial thoughts, this was this might have been last week. Episode 5 was about my favorite episode of season 2, but I think I have a new favorite now, and that is season 2, episode 6, titled "Darling Nikki." Okay, now let's get on to the review. Now, this episode, there wasn't a lot of action really in this episode. I mean, depending your type of action. If you expect you know, they have all the proof and the exorcism is going to commence. No, this episode was mainly Father Thomas and Father Marcus gathering evidence, to confirm that Andy is possessed, or someone in the house is possessed. Okay, now let's go where we start off. Now, this episode picks up immediately after where episode 5 left off, where Andy is in the Nikki shrine, right? And Nikki is talking to Andy, messing up with his mind. He's like, "No, you're not real." And he's like, "Where's Grace?" And he's like, "I sent her away." And because Andy's like, "I sent her away." Right? And this, and then the apparition of Nikki says, "I promise I'll never leave you again." Some pretty good comfort to Andy right there. Okay, now we're going to see Father Marcus and Father Thomas. No, wait, no. I think I might have just screwed up. My bad. I think after that is after the Nikki scene. I think the kids are walking home from camping while Andy and Rose are visiting Truck in the sane asylum. Anyway, now we're going to go see Father Thomas and Father Marcus. Now, with Father Marcus and Father Thomas, Marcus is like, hey, he's like, "Where in the hell were you? You've been gone pretty much all night." And then Father Thomas reveals that he went back to the house to do his investigation like he did previously in the last episode. And he's like, we got to go back there and help these kids because there's something not right. And Thomas is having trouble explaining everything what he saw to Marcus, because he's seen a lot of stuff through his hallucinations or his mind links, whatever you want to call them. With the demons. But in doing so, he's got enough evidence, to go help. So Thomas and Marcus decide, okay, we should go meet up with Rose and talk about doing an investigation. And so they meet up with Rose, and they say, have you seen anything out of the ordinary? And they're talking about like demons and everything else, right? And they say yes. I mean, not she doesn't say yes, but she is worried about Andy and the fact that everything is not. He doesn't seem well. We all know that he isn't well because he's hallucinating, obviously, but something is not quite right with him, and so Rose eventually agrees to let Thomas and Marcus investigate the house to see if they can find confirmation about demons, and so they're. So we go to the kitchen back at Andy's place. Like he's getting ready to like prepare dinner. And he lets the kids know that dinner's gonna be ready in a couple hours. And here's a clue too. Stuff is going on. Verity asks. It's like how Truck's doing with Chuck, and Chuck was pretty. He was really lucid. He was like, "Oh, tell Verity I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt her." And he's like, "The woman in my mind made me hurt Verity. I didn't want to do it." So, there's a clue there. And Andy said to Verity that, "Oh, Truck, he's pretty much just drugged." Right? And completely. And he didn't say anything at all. Pretty much through this entire episode, no matter where you look, Andy is seeing Nikki throughout the entire episode almost. So Father Marcus and Father Thomas, they arrive at Andy's house for dinner. House for dinner, and they start enjoying the meal. Everything tastes good, and Thomas and Marcus begin questioning Andy, and telling oh, we're exorcists. And actually, at the dinner table, Harper is the one to tell them that. And how this is actually taking place. That all like okay, they ask Father Thomas to say grace, and Father Thomas says, "Yeah, I'll do grace." Right? He starts praying. And then Andy is just like pretty much looking really pissed off, and like making fun of the grace, saying grace a lot. So there's another clue for them. And then like when the kids start going to bed, and then their conversation moves to like the living room. I know I kind of like this because Father Thomas, they continue to talking, and Andy's like how they made the mistake with Harper in episode 4, I believe. It's like, yeah, sometimes it's like I didn't want to get it wrong, but sometimes it happens, and it's like, and Thomas like I kind of made a poor judgment call on that one. and and it was really actually pretty good. And now this is what I liked about the episode too is I really like this part. The 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 demon, not the demon, the Father Marcus. He is actually starts drilling Andy. About his dead wife. It's like, did you grieve about your wife? Did it's like. And he like says something about how they couldn't have kids of their own, and a few other stuff, right? And if you guys don't know what Marcus is doing, he's intentionally upsetting Andy so that the demon will show itself, make a manifestation, because he's he's literally provoking the demon on purpose so that they can get their proof that they need. But before that, um, Thomas is But before that, they're getting more tea, and the teacup is full of blood. Thomas is like hallucinating, like the blood as tea. And then after the conversation between Andy and Marcus, Rose and Marcus ask them to leave, and so they leave, and then they agree to go. But Marcus doesn't want to go because Marcus he's seen enough exorcism cases. I'm sure he has to know that he's starting to make some progress with the demon, right? And so they reluctantly decide to go because they don't want to get put in jail. Smart move. They can't help anybody if they're in jail. And they head outside since it's now night. And one thing I did forget though is before the kids went to bed. It won't take very long to cover this, but I forgot before the kids went to bed. Marcus was talking to Harper, and Marcus says, "Have you seen anything?" And anything weird? Just like the Island Witch. Is the Island Witch were real? And Tom and Marcus is like, "No." I say, I was like, "But I heard something out there. It's like I heard someone say my name, or something." Okay, I just wanted to cover that real fast. Now back outside. Thomas Thomas is finally getting it. They're still in the driveway of Andy's. But he's confining in Marcus, and they start to pray. And he's like, these visions I'm having, they're not a gift from God or anything. They're a curse. Anyway. They're a curse. And then in turn, Marcus is like, curse not, they did lead us here for us to potentially save this family. Okay, now I think I jumped the gun a little bit now that I'm remembering clearly, because I think Father Bennett and Father and Mouse arriving in Chicago actually happened before they went outside. I believe it did. I might have jumped the gun a little bit on this one, guys. A tiny bit. My bad. But Father Bennett and Mouse, they go in Chicago, and to capture Maria Walters. And when they get there, they knock out all the guards with they make the guards unconscious, and they start to interrogate Maria Walters, and she is just looking absolutely terrible. It turns out that Maria Walters is like dying of cancer, And the only thing that's keeping her alive is the demon. But here's the thing, though. Couldn't the demon just kind of heal her? I know it's a different demon than I know the demon integrated in her is a different demon than the possessed one. But in Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, like the demon healed the boy who was possessed, being from some sort of disability, so it could like walk properly and like use its hand properly. And in The Exorcist 3, when Father Karras jumped to his death, I believe the demon like kept him alive. I don't know if it was the same demon as Reagan, but it was certainly implied that it was. So I guess it can't fully heal someone who's already dead, pretty much, anyway. I guess the demon should have thought about that in season 1 before it integrated with her. I guess I'll know better next time. But anyway, as they continue to torture, as Mouse and Father Bennett continue to torture Maria, the integrated demon, and Maria Walters, it reveals some things, and it reveals some things, and the demon is trying to get Father Bennett to get integrated because it wants a new host, obviously. And they say, it wants a new host, obviously, and they're like, yeah, we were a match before, or something like that. I'm trying to get him to accept in Father Bennett, and Father Bennett says, no, I refuse. And, like, no, I refuse. And then all of a sudden they find, Mouse, I believe it was Mouse, finds a photograph of Father Thomas and Father Thomas and Father Marcus, and then the demon reveals like, oh, Father Thomas pretty much is coming along fine. Finally, because I think they're trying to have Father Marcus get I'm trying to have Father Marcus, no, not Father Marcus, Father Thomas, my bad, Father Thomas be integrated because of all the mind link exorcism he's been doing since he let the demon into his head in episode 1. I think has been trying to slowly prepare him. But I think there still might be something to it, but I don't think not very much is going to happen because I think he's caught it in time. And I think if Father Marcus gets his faith back fully, I think he's going to be a big key to saving Andy and possibly saving Father Thomas if something comes with integration with Father Thomas. I'm predicting that right now. Father Marcus is going to be key if he gets his grace, if he gets his faith back fully. Anyway, all of a sudden the demon starts talking in Marcus's voice and reveals something really shocking. The demon, apparently Marcus, like 20 so years ago, trained Mouse to become an exorcist. And apparently something happened. Either Marcus did something questionable, or Mouse didn't listen to Marcus. Something happened because before the demon could say it, Mouse pulled out a gun and shot Maria Walters in the head. Anyway, Now we're back to Andy's house for the final conclusion. As night falls, they come back to the room. They come back into the house. But all of a sudden, in Harper's room, she gets woken up, and she gets woke. But before that, Marcus and I mean not Marcus, Andy and Rose are talking, and it's like, oh, like Marcus was why I never did deal with my grief after Nikki died. And then all of a sudden, and then he's like, I'm never gonna make that mistake with you. And then all of a sudden, he's like, and like they start kissing, and like there's like, oh, like Marcus is gonna get lucky, you know, he's gonna get laid. And I mean Marcus, I mean Andy. Gosh, I was just talking about Andy. Why did I say Marcus? Anyway, like Marcus is gonna get laid, and while he was getting ready, all of a sudden hands come through, like through the bed and onto Rose's neck. Okay, now to Harper's room. Okay, someone wakes up Harper and grabs her and has a knife to her. And it's Harper's crazy mother kidnapping Harper. She escaped from this insane asylum or the jail or wherever the hell she was and kidnapping Harper. Then at that moment when they're almost out of the house, Father Thomas and Father Marcus return. And they're trying to stop Harper's mother, right? And then all of a sudden, the demon gets really mad. I think maybe because Andy started picking Rose over the demon Nikki, and then like her eyes are kind of whitish, and then like everyone is like floating in the air. And then they all like fall to the ground really hard. By this point, all the other kids are up too, and they all grab. And then the demon picks Rose up and throws and slams her against the wall. And then it looks like Andy was going to choke the life out of Rose. And so the demon is finally made the mistake that Father Marcus was trying to provoke it into. And this is happening while they're there. I think them floating through the air is enough confirmation to start an exorcism. Right? But all of a sudden what happened was Andy sees Harper's mom, picks her up by the throat, takes a knife and stabs her in the stomach. Right? And pretty much kills her. Now that was really intense. Then Andy starts making like a demon sound. And then he gets like fully possessed. And Marcus and Thomas start saying their prayers over Andy. And that is when the episode ends. So what did I think about this episode? Like I said in the beginning, even though this episode was a lot of investigation trying to find proof, this was a very solid episode in my opinion, and I really liked it. Anyway, guys, this is Ghost Jake signing off. See you guys next week for my reviews. Later.